Do you have nightmare clients in your agency? Do you have clients from hell? Do you find that all of these clients keep showing up for you? They're a nightmare to deal with. They're pedantic, they're pixel perfect, they're always harassing you. It's a problem that a lot of agency owners have, and we are going to fix it right here in this video. And we're going to do that by looking at a client onboarding process that's going to turn those nightmare clients into dream clients every time, by really just putting some fundamental boundaries right around our client onboarding process. We're going to take a look at that client onboarding process for you. So if you are an agency owner struggling with nightmare clients, with how do you onboard clients the right way so that they become dream clients, that's exactly what we're going to look at in this video. So let's take a look at this. Let's have a look at how we're going to turn clients from hell into dream clients every damn time. And this is really just putting a process together. Some of you may or may not have onboarding processes for clients. They may be formalized, they may be unformalized. This is a simple way to formalize this process so that every client that comes into your business goes through a process that's going to guarantee they know what to expect, you know what to expect, everyone's happy, and you can get to work delivering your projects. So here's a caveat, and something that a lot of agency owners don't actually want to admit or hear. The fact that if you've got nightmare clients, right, guess what? Guess whose fault that is? It's not the client, it's you. It's your fault. And I say this to help you become accountable for who you bring into your business, right? When you bring a client into your business, that's intentional on your behalf. So you've brought them on, you've promised them something, you've said, hey, I can help you solve a problem. If they then become a nightmare, a lot of the time it's because of you. You haven't set clear expectations. You haven't given them that guidelines on how you're going to work together. So if you're experiencing nightmare clients over and over and over again, just be cognizant, recognize that it's your fault. And that's good, because if it's your fault, you can fix it. You can change the way that you interact. And that's what we're going to get to here in this SOP, this process for better onboarding of your clients. And generally, bad clients, nightmare clients, clients from hell, they arise from several things. One of those is poor cultural alignment, right? You're bringing people, human beings into your business that aren't aligned with your values, your vision, your mission. That's maybe a discussion for another video, but it's very important. We are human beings. Our businesses are human-driven enterprises, right? If we're interacting with these people that we don't like their vibe, we don't like their energy, they're not aligned to our values, our vision, our mission, what we're trying to achieve, that's a very bad starting point for a relationship. So poor cultural alignment is a bad place to start. Also, having foggy client definition. So this is again on us to define, who do we want to work for? Who's our niche? Who is our ideal client? Who are we going after? A lot of agencies, again, when they're getting started, have a tendency to, I'll take anyone with cash, I'll service everyone, we're full service, we do everything for everyone. They end up servicing no one. So again, understanding, who do you actually service? Who do you want to work for? What does your dream client look like? What is that avatar? If that's foggy, you're going to bring people into your business that are kind of random, and that's going to create that disconnect between who you are, what you can actually do, what they think you can do, the wrong types of people into your business. Unclear expectations. Again, from your part, if you're not setting clear expectations of what a client can expect in how they're going to work with you, when they need to get back to you, right? What's that communication cadence look like? What do you expect them to give you and when? What are you going to do for them? What does a deliverable look like? What's that process look like? If you miss this stuff, the client feels like these guys don't know what they're doing, right? They don't have this sorted. They're not on top of the game here. So I now have to step in. I've got to manage this process. So being very clear on those expectations of how this thing's going to run. This is what this project's going to look like. This is how we engage with clients. This is how we work with you, right? Part of this is, unclear deliverables, not knowing what they're actually going to get, when they're going to get it, and how that's going to roll through as a process. Like, what's the first thing? What's the second thing? What's the third thing? Then after that, they've got to come back to you. What do you need back from them so you can move the thing forward? Sounds like basic stuff. A lot of agency owners miss it, and it creates these nightmare clients. Talked about bad communication, poor comms, just not being able to communicate with the client properly. This kind of stuff going right the back way, all the way back here, like values, vision, mission. If you're not liking the type of person that you're working with, sometimes you can just shut down communications, right? That communication is not going to be as effective if you're working with people that you genuinely like, that you feel you can be honest and authentic and open and communicate properly with. And another part of the communications is that cadence. When are they going to hear from you? When do they get to talk to you? How often do they get to speak to you? All of this stuff starts to build into this communication cycle. And the biggest one is lack of clear, defined boundaries. What are the boundaries of the relationship? When can they call you? Can they call you at 2 a.m., right? How quickly are you going to respond to them? When are you going to get work done? When do you need stuff back from them? So having very, very, very clear boundaries actually makes the process a lot smoother. Agency owners can tend to go in without boundaries and think, I'm just going to not necessarily wing it, but I don't want to restrict the relationship. I don't want to be too tight. But the tighter you make those boundaries, the smoother that relationship can operate within the bounds of that relationship. Fortunately, right here on this video, we are going to knock off all of these in one fell swoop with this simple but highly effective client onboarding process. So let's get into it. Now, this is a process that you can build out in whatever project management system you're using, whether that's something like ClickUp. I use ClickUp. You can see over here. So this is how I have this set up inside of ClickUp. I will do another video on how to set this up inside of ClickUp. You might be using Asana, Monday.com, any number of different platforms. You can set this up yourself inside of those platforms, but these are the steps, and this is what you want to include in that process. So firstly, brand new client, deal's done, sales gone through, you're ready to onboard this client. First thing you want to make sure is that you've collected all of that core information and added that into your CRM, your customer relationship management system. Might already be in there from the sales cycle, depends what your tech stack looks like and how that's connected. And then you want to get that into your project management platform, your Asana, your ClickUp, your Teamwork, whatever you're using to run and manage this project. So basic information you want to collect here is just make sure you've got the company name, the contact email. So the person that you're actually communicating with. If there's multiple stakeholders, make sure you've got all their contact details, your phone numbers, essential basic information so you can start to set this project up. And you want to include any relevant information collected during the sales cycle as well, right? So any key information, maybe they've told you something specific about what they expect, or there's something different than what you usually do, some custom deliverable. You want to collect all of that information inside of this project. You may even sync this sales process with your CRM to automatically collect this client info. So you might have a connected tech stack where you've got automation running in the background with Zapier or Integromat, something like that, that's hooking all of this stuff up. So as soon as the sale's closed over in Active Campaign or wherever your CRM is, Pipedrive, something like that, whenever that sale is sold and ticked off, it automatically creates and collates this information and drops it over into your project management system. That'd be pretty cool. If not, manually just get that stuff set up. So when that's done, we can tick that off and move on to the second piece, which is you've got a project set up. Now you want to work out who's actually going to work on this inside of your business. So you want to assign all of your team members to this account. Again, depending on the size of your agency and the nature of the services you provide, whether that's SEO, graphic design, web design, Google ads, Facebook ads, PPC campaigns of some sort, you want to assign the most appropriate team members to that client. So you want to put your SEO specialist, obviously, on an SEO project. So this is probably stuff that you're already doing. We're just formalizing that process, making sure the right people are assigned to this project inside of your project system. And your account managers, really, if you have an account manager, again, depending on the size and scale of your business, you might be the CEO and the account manager and the coffee person and the designer and the SEO expert, or you might have distinct teams in your business, depending on your size. But really, this account management piece, this suit piece, as we might call it, they're going to play the most critical part in this part of the process. This is really an account management, client-facing engagement. So the account manager is going to play the most critical role, and they're really the one that's going to be responsible for the majority of the steps in this client onboarding process. If you're going to delegate this across, this is going to be owned and run by an account manager, a head of sales, a head of account. So your head of sales, your sales team, your CEO, they might be involved in this as well if you want to show that senior presence throughout this engagement as well. But really the person that you want owning this is that suit layer, that account management, account director kind of level. And just to note that when you're assigning your team members to the account, don't forget to brief them on the client details that you picked up during the sales process. So we want to drop that stuff into the document somewhere inside the project itself, but then you also want to have an internal briefing with your team. Say, hey, this is the client. This is what we're doing for them. Here's some stuff that came up in the sales process. Here's what this is where we're taking this. Here's maybe some custom stuff that we've discussed that we're going to do for them outside of the general scope of work. So have that conversation internally as well. When you're done with that, you've got your team members assigned, and we can move on to the next piece, which is to send a client onboarding questionnaire. Now, this is something that many agency owners skip. You can't, or maybe you just haven't formalized this. You do this, but it's not formalized. We really want to make collecting this information as seamless and automated and systemized as possible. So how do you do an onboarding questionnaire? This could be a call. This could be sort of a discovery session type call. This could be a form. You could whip this up in Google Forms or something like that, or Gravity Forms or something on your website. Inside a lot of project management systems as well, you can collect forms. You can create forms inside of those things that link into certain projects. So you can literally have that collected inside of the project itself, and you can send that over to the client. They fill out this information. That's a quick, systemized, automated way to collect this information. Or it could even be something like this, a Google document that you send over, or an email. There's many ways you can do this stuff, but the more systemized, as long as you've got a system and you're collecting this same information every time, that's really what we want to get to. So what types of questions are we going to put on this onboarding questionnaire? Again, you can get access to this Google Doc. I'll share it in below so you can get all this stuff. We'll run through very quickly. Now, you want to collect their marketing goals. You want to understand what are they actually trying to achieve. Again, you might have teased this out during the sales process, but because you're shifting into a project team now, a creative process, you really want to get a deeper understanding of the client at that level. So what are their goals? And maybe they can rank them. So what is most important to them to get out of this project? What have their challenges been so far? So this is where this might have come up in the sales cycle, but you really want to understand what is that thing. If there's a thing that you can fix right now, what's the biggest win you can get for this client, so you can really nail that delivery. If you understand what's most important to them and what their biggest challenges are, and you can fix that, and you've got a formalized process around doing that for them, this is going to really get your client engaged. Like, these guys understand what I want. Your strategy, your execution, everything that you're doing, your creative is going to speak to their biggest pain points. What have they done in the past? So you might want to understand, what could you avoid doing? Maybe things that haven't worked for them, or what could you do better? Now, what tools are they currently using? What platforms? Maybe they're doing Facebook, maybe they're doing Twitter. What are they currently using? Maybe reporting tools, analytics tools. What have they got in their tech stack? What sort of things can you leverage, right, to help them deliver those marketing projects better? What do they like and dislike about what they're currently doing? You'll find that a lot of clients actually dislike a lot of the stuff. Maybe they're currently working with an agency that's not delivering for them. So understanding this stuff, teasing this stuff out during this kind of onboarding discovery process can give you some really key insights into what you can do better. Again, some of this might have come up in the sales process. We want to make sure that we're collecting this again at this stage, just to get really, really clear for our delivery teams on where we can get the biggest, quickest wins for these clients. If they've got their own marketing tools, you might want to grab login access there. Once you understand what they're using, if you've got different tools, maybe they've got a CRM that you could map to. They've got some reporting software, some analytics platforms, that kind of thing that they're using. You've got some different stuff. You want to understand if they're actually open to switching those platforms. They might have legacy platforms they're using with an existing agency. having that conversation around like, okay, that's what you're using, but we use this. Are you happy to switch everything around? It might be an email marketing platform, right? Maybe they're using MailChimp and you specialize in, Keep or Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign or something like that. Say, hey, this is what we specialize in. This is why it's better. Can we, if we're going to run this the most effective way for you, we might need to switch that over. So these are important conversations to have with the client kind of during this process, and be open and have this communication cycle around what you're doing, what you need from them, what you're going to use. They might have social media stuff that they're using. So business manager, their Facebook ads, you want to get access to all of those things. Products and services that they're offering. So you want to deep dive on what they're actually selling. What do they do, right? Who's their target audience? Who are their competitors? So externally, so who are you helping them communicate to? That's going to be massively important for your strategy, your campaign, your targeting, all of that stuff. So you want to get very clear on that. Then you also want to stand internally. Who are the stakeholders? Who are you dealing with? Who's the number one point of contact? Who's the failure point? Who's the backup? If something goes wrong, where do you escalate things to, right? So you want to know all of the people and the roles inside of their business, as well as the primary contact and their preferred method of communication as well. So this might be a switch as well, right? You might like Slack, they might use Messenger or something in the Microsoft suite or something, right? Microsoft Teams. So you might have to change how you communicate. Ideally, they will use your communication platform, but that might again be a conversation of where are they most comfortable. Ideally, if you're using Slack, you want to get them into your Slack, set up their own Slack channel, all that kind of thing. And obviously Zoom, phone calls, all that kind of thing. You want to lay out, this is how we communicate, and these are the platforms that we're going to use. You want to collect their brand guidelines. Again, depending on the level of client, maybe you're doing the brand guidelines for them. Depending what size client they are, how advanced they are, how sophisticated they are, they may or may not have brand guidelines that they can send you, but at least they can send you some logos and some work they've done in the past. And understanding their sales process. What does their marketing funnel look like? What does their sales process look like? Where do you fit into that sales process? What piece of that sales process are you actually doing? Are you at the front end? Are you at the back end? Are you top of the funnel? Are you middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel? How do you fit into their overall sales process and their overall business? Understanding that, again, is very important too, how you can deliver your project for them. And again, you might want to create a personal relationship, right? You might want to collect some hobbies and interests, their birthday, that kind of thing. So you can personalize and customize and have a human interaction with this client, right? This ideally, when we've got that value alignment, that vision and mission alignment, this is someone that we actually genuinely like. So you might want to collect, some hobbies, some passions, some interests, some stuff that they like. Collect that all in your CRM so that you can refer back to that when you're having a conversation. Oh, yeah, that's right. Chad likes football. He's an Everton supporter. So Everton had a win. So you can send him a quick message and say, hey, yeah, Everton did well on the weekend, right? Something like that. So these can be little humanizing aspects that can be really good for this client relationship over time. And you also want to make sure that you collect, brand assets, logos, brand guidelines. As we said, they might have particular styles of image that they like, all of that stuff, anything that you're going to need in that process, in that project. You want to collect all of that stuff in this onboarding questionnaire. So again, if you've got an online form, they could literally upload brand guideline PDFs. They could upload all that content into that form that drops into the project, and it's all in one place. So they fill out the questionnaire. You've now got a really, really deep understanding of who the client is, what they want, what they're trying to achieve, all of their assets. Now you're ready to kick off the next part of the project, which is going to be about creating client accounts for your tools, right? So as an agency, you're going to have a variety of tools that you manage your existing clients, and you want to make sure that you've set up new accounts for your clients. So that's going to be stuff like Slack, Asana, ClickUp, Google Drive, Dropbox, SEMrush, Agency Analytics, all of these types of software that you're using for data, for social media management, project management, communication. You want to set the clients up in all of those places so that your reporting tools, your analytics, everything is set up for them. And then you actually want to train them. You want to send them an explanation of what those tools are and how they use them and how they are expected to interact with them, not just how you're going to use them as the agency, but what do they need to do? Do they actually need to log in? How do they, if you've got a dashboard, right? It's say a SEMrush or a campaign management dashboard. Do they have to log in? How do they log in? Who logs in? What are those details? The best way to do this, again, would be some sort of an SOP, some sort of a training document. Something similar to this, right? Jump on a Loom video, just shoot a quick Loom video about how to log in, what they can look at inside that dashboard. So training the client around how to use that software, getting them set up, creating all of their accounts, sending them all their logins, and internally having all of those things collected inside the project so your team knows where to log in to access that client's information. And then we can move into another massive piece that a lot of agencies miss, which is sending them a client welcome pack. Now, this can be included in the next step where we do essentially an onboarding or a kickoff call. But this client welcome pack is a PDF, a document, a presentation that we're going to put together to capture all of the details of this project, all of the expectations, everything in one place that they can reference. And this is one of the most important steps in the client onboarding process, right? The purpose of the welcome pack is to reiterate the terms of the contract, highlight how you'll be working together, and make the client feel welcome. So this piece here, right? Reiterating terms of the contract. This is what you've signed up to. This is what you've paid. This is a payment cycle. This is when we expect to get paid. We have 30-day terms, 40-day terms, 90-day terms. This is what your payments are going to look like. All of that stuff that's come out of that sales process and the contract and your proposals, you just want to reiterate that stuff. Maybe they're paid 50% up front. They're going to pay 50% at the end. Lay all that stuff out and really setting clear expectations, goals, milestones, and process up front. Make sure that the client knows exactly what to expect over the term of the engagement with you and your agency. And as I said right at the top, lack of clarity here is the number one cause of nightmare clients. So clients not understanding what the goals of the project are, not knowing when parts of the process are going to be delivered. So what are the milestones? When am I going to see the mock-up? When do I get the final art? When does the site go live? When does it get migrated, right? All of that stuff, knowing when that's going to happen, it gives them peace of mind and clarity of how stuff's going to roll out. So lack of that is the number one reason that they're going to feel like they need to step in and manage the process, because they might feel like you just don't have it. You're not managing it correctly. They're going to step in and start to nitpick and get into the minutiae of managing the project themselves, which is when they become a nightmare. So the more structure you can set here, the clearer the boundaries, and the more structure, the more process you can provide here at the outset, the more confidence the client actually has in your ability to deliver their work on time, on budget, and without interference, micromanaging, and those 2 a.m. phone calls like, hey, Chris, where's my project? I haven't heard from you for 2 weeks. I was expecting something last week. I haven't heard from you. What's going on? Is it on time? Is it on budget? If they get to that point, it's well too far gone. And it's because you haven't given them that confidence that you know what the hell that you're doing, right? They don't have that confidence that you've got this, that you're managing it, that you have clear guideline, you know how you're delivering this project. That is the importance of this stuff, giving your client the confidence. When a client is confident, they'll sit back and let you crack on with it. When they're not confident about your ability to manage a project, that's when they're going to step in and go, what the hell's happening? And feel like they have to start managing the process. And that's where it gets messy. So what is this welcome pack? This welcome pack could be a presentation. It could be a PDF. It could be a text or an email sequence that you send out. I do have a Canva template for this, something like this. Again, I will put another video together on how you can get access to this and what this looks like in a presentation. It's for another video. So it could be, some sort of a templated Google Doc, a Google slide, could be a presentation deck, something that's templated that every time you get a client, you fill this stuff out, and now it's a custom pack that goes through these types of things. So what are you going to include in this welcome pack? Details about your team. Who are the team members working on their accounts? What's your team structure look like? A bit of a bio, a bit of contact information, the functions, what's that person going to be doing for that client? Who are their key contacts? All that kind of good stuff. You want to summarize the goals that you're working towards. Like, what are we actually trying to achieve with this project? And so a brief summary of the goals your client hired you to help them achieve, and any specific targets that you may have discussed during the sales process. So where are we going? What are the goals? What are the outcomes? what are we hoping to achieve by delivering this project? Again, just to reiterate and clarify so everyone knows exactly what you're trying to achieve on this project. It can be stuff that agencies skip over, and because they, maybe you think, oh, well, they know what we're doing, we know what we're doing. But the more you can reiterate and give the client confidence that they know what they're expecting you to do, and you know what you're doing and how to do it, it's going to give them that confidence. We also want to summarize, what are we actually doing for them, right? What are the deliverables? What services are we doing? Is it SEO? Is it a website? Is it an e-com website? Is it a Shopify website? Is it Google marketing? Is it Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever the services are, we want to lay those out and break those down so they know exactly what they're going to get. If it's an ongoing basis, is this a single project? Is this a one-time build, or is this ongoing? Is this monthly? What's that kind of cadence for the project as well? And you want to, importantly, don't skimp on details here. You want to get into the details of exactly what you are going to be doing for them. If you have custom processes, that kind of thing, this is a good place to go. Here's how we do that thing. Next up, we want to set client expectations. So what will be expected of the client? So they expect stuff from us in terms of we deliver things at certain times. But an important part of starting a new relationship is to set clear expectations for both parties, right? Because oftentimes projects can get bottlenecked by clients. So you may want to include a list of expectations you will have from the client. So this could be things like changes. What's a change request process look like? If they want to submit a change, how do they do that? Review process. So you send them the draft, they've got 3 days to get back to you, or 48 hours or 72 hours to get back to you with feedback so that you can move the project forward. If you're clear about that stuff and that time passes, they now know that they are delaying the process. If you're not clear on that, projects can go weeks and weeks and weeks with no communication because you're expecting them to get back to you, but they don't know that you're waiting for them, right? So this is why laying this stuff out and go, on Monday the 7th, we're going to give you the mock-up, and we need to hear back from you by that Wednesday. If we don't hear back from you, that's going to delay the next part of the process. So again, reiterating this gives them confidence. Okay, they're actually waiting for me. Okay, I need to get action. I need to action this stuff. So we want to give them stuff to do as well and be very clear what we want from them. Obviously, you want a project timeline. So here's the milestones. Here's how the project's going to roll out. Here's the phases. Here's the process, key dates, all that kind of stuff. You want to update anything like meetings, regular meetings, that sort of thing as well. And that's where we get into meeting cadence, right? So are we catching up weekly? Are we catching up twice a week? Are we catching up every month, every quarter? What does that meeting cadence look like? Is that a 1 hour meeting, a 2 hour meeting, a 30-minute check-in? What are we doing on those calls? Kind of what's the purpose of that call, right? So setting the meeting schedule as part of that sales contract. You might have already agreed on that. But again, we want to make very clear how often we'll be meeting and how long for in that welcome pack. So again, what's the cadence? Is it, again, weekly, monthly, etc.? And then what are we doing on each of those calls? That's important to set up front again. So that sets an expectation. They go, okay, I now know not only do I have to get back to you at these times, I need to make myself available every Wednesday at 10 a.m. for 30 minutes. So they have to set that in their calendar. They now, okay, I'm now contributing time. I'm putting my time into this project. They need to create that time for themselves to be part of this project. So it's important to lay all of this stuff out so they're very, very clear on what they need to contribute to the project. And then finally wrap up with sort of housekeeping items, right? Any pending things that they need to do. Maybe they haven't sent you their logos. Maybe you need some content. Maybe they need to sign a service level agreement, or they need to give you some login details, anything that's pending. And then from your side, what are the next steps? What are you getting into? What's your team currently working on? Give them a semblance that, right, we are now, this thing's kicked off, we're moving forward, everything is a go. So we get that done, we send that packet out. You can either send them, email them out, text that out, send them out, whatever format that is, or you might want to incorporate this into some sort of a kickoff meeting, onboarding call, discovery call. And really the purpose of this meeting is to present that welcome pack. Really, this is to get all of the stakeholders together, right? Including your account management team, your key people, maybe your designers, your creative director, whoever is working on that project, those senior people. Very clear agenda with the purpose to introduce everyone. Here's everyone who's working together. Here are the stakeholders. reaffirm these expectations, right? So walking through that welcome pack is an excellent way to run this meeting. Any additional questions they might have, so some Q&A, anything that you didn't collect from your questionnaire or from the welcome pack, they might have some questions about, okay, what's this part look like? Actually, what are you doing here? How do we log into that? They might have questions, so a bit of Q&A. And then again, next steps. So running this meeting by walking through that presentation pack, through that welcome pack, is probably the best way to run it. But these could be separate pieces. You might send them, you might email them that welcome pack as a PDF, and then have this call to actually walk them through that process. The agenda here is a tech check. Make sure that everything, your Zoom's connected, everyone's got their tech set up. Your internal team should maybe jump on in 5-10 minutes before, just say, hey, this is this client, this is what this project's about, sort of set the stage for what this meeting is going to be about with the client. You want to do some introductions. So start, 3 to 5 minutes at the start just to introduce everyone, give a bit of backgrounds. Maybe you've got some senior people, talk about their backgrounds, their experience, what they're bringing to the project. And from the client side as well, you want them to sort of talk about who they are, what they're doing within the project, what their expectations are, what their roles are, how they're going to be contributing to the project, all that good stuff. And look, you might want to make this fun, personal. You might want to do some ice-breaking type engagement here as well, depending on how you choose to engage with your clients. So you're going to review goals, project timeline, all that stuff that we've got in the welcome pack. We're going to discuss, again, our technology stack. We're going to talk about, we use ActiveCampaign or MailChimp, and we use this platform. We use WordPress. We build in Shopify. We use WooCommerce for e-commerce. Whatever you want to talk through the tech stack that you're going to be talking and working through. And of course, we're going to communicate through Slack. We're going to log you into SEMrush. So you want to get all of that tech stuff that you've talked about in the client pack sorted here as well. And then you're going to highlight the meeting cadence, right? Upcoming tasks, milestones, what's happening next. Run that Q&A piece. So they're probably going to have some questions by the end of this session. Maybe they've previewed, they've already gone through that welcome pack. They've seen the questionnaire. Again, they've got some Q&A. They got questions about the process. So you want to allocate some time, maybe 10, 15 minutes at the end, just purely for Q&A, just to get this stuff sorted. And it's an opportunity for your team to ask questions of the client as well. So maybe you want to clarify some stuff from the client that maybe you haven't quite collected yet. So you want to get that from the client as well. And then you want to review meeting actions. Right, so kickoff meetings often bring up a lot of ad hoc discussions and new actions, right, that you hadn't thought of. So you want to make sure that you're capturing all of the stuff that's happening from the meeting. And then you want to allow some time at the end of that meeting to reiterate the task that you and the client will need to complete. So there might be some new stuff that comes up. Maybe you hadn't realized that there's something they now need to log into, or there's some actions, there's some stuff that you hadn't talked about, and an agreement they need to sign, or they need to run something through their legal team or something like that. So anything new, you want to capture that and then put some actions and timelines against getting that stuff done. So some quick tips. Again, you have access to this Google Doc below, so don't need to go through everything, but just to make sure that your team is ready for this kickoff meeting, you want to brief your team beforehand. Who's the client? What's the project about? Anything that's come up in that questionnaire, questions that you might have come up in the onboarding process so far, so your team is ready for the call. You want to ensure that everyone knows what they're doing. What are their roles and responsibilities on this project? Who's doing what? Who's responsible for what part of the process, part of the project? You might want to brainstorm some strategies to bring to the table at the meeting. So you might want to prepare some strategic ideas or some creative ideas or something like that. If that's the type of meeting this is, where you can come in and say, hey, great to meet you. This is what we're doing. We're going to be looking at these types of target audiences. We've done a bit of background research. We've already prepared some. We've done an audit of the website. We've done an SEO audit. We've already started to research some keywords. So there might be some stuff to bring to the table to show the client that you're keen, you're eager, you're already working on stuff for them. That can be pretty powerful in terms of showing engagement to the client. Prepare all your presentation slides and documents, the welcome pack, any proposals, audits, all of that stuff. Have that ready in case the client wants to talk about it, or you want to present that and show that to them in that meeting. Have that ready to go. Review the agenda so you know what you're going to step through. Ensure that you've got a plan in place. So this is important, right? Because in a lot of meetings, people might want to say things at certain times. Speaking over the client is horrendous, and speaking over each other looks really unprofessional. So having a plan in place around how do we run meetings, who gets to speak, who says what, a simple hand raising inside Zoom, you can click you can literally raise your hand and it'll pop up a little hand emoji. That can be a quick way to solve that problem. If you've got something to say, again, set this expectation with the client. If you want to speak, raise your hand and we'll work through the call that way. That can be a good way to stop people kind of blurting stuff out or speaking over other people. You want to allow time in your schedule in case the meeting runs over. Obviously, if it's a 45-minute meeting, maybe you want to allocate that for an hour just so you've got that buffer time, just in case it does sort of run over, as they can do. Make sure that it's not going to affect the team for the rest of the day. So that's a pretty easy one to tick off. We've done a lot of that previously, and now we're just running that as a formal session with the client, and we are almost done. Last piece, but again, a beautiful piece. If you're not doing this with your clients, this can be a great way to really build and cement that relationship. Now you've finished onboarding the client, right? They're super impressed. They know exactly what to do. Now all that's left for you is to deliver on your promises and continue to provide the client with stellar customer service. And a piece of that could be wrapping up the onboarding project by sending them something special. So you might send them a nice little final touch, a final flourish to this process, which will really knock their socks off and knock this process out of the park. As simple as sending a handwritten note from all the internal team, a card saying, hey, welcome on board. Love having you as a new client in our business. We're super pumped for the project. Have everyone write a little note and send that. That can be massive. You can also do online cards, that kind of thing. You could send a gift basket, right, with your notes. So maybe you send them a nice bottle of wine, or you send them the food basket or something for their team. It can just be something small. If you've got swag, if you've got hoodies and hats and t-shirts and swag, you could send them some branded swag. Maybe you've got some branded notepads or notebooks or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. And again, that is great for brand reinforcement, right? If they start wearing your brand, they see your brand and they're using things with your logo on them, it's going to make them embed your brand into their mind, right? So all your business is going to be top of mind. They're going to love your agency even more. So that can be a wonderful thing to do, to wrap that process up by sending the client something, a little gift, a little welcome note. Another really good thing to do is to spread the word about your client's products to your personal network, right? If you ideally, again, you're working with clients that you really love to work with, you love their product, you might do a Facebook post or a LinkedIn post, say, hey, we are working with this amazing client and they have this awesome product, guys, go check it out. These guys are making waves, they're doing big things, go check them out. So that can be another way to show your clients that you respect them, that you're helping them out, that you love what they do. And again, it's just reinforcing to the client that you actually care and respect them as a business and as human beings. So that's another way you can wrap up that project. And pretty much that's it. If you've done all of this, you've wowed your client. And the final piece is to set up any internal onboarding actions within the agency. So sort of done all the client side things. Now we just want to make sure that internally our systems are set up, right? So we've collected all the project details, we've set expectations, we've discussed deliverables, and we've built that solid foundation for the client's project. Now what we want to do is ensure that the team is ready to start. They've got everything they need to start working on this project. So basic stuff, if we haven't already, we want to set up the project in our workflow management system, whether that's, Asana, Teamwork, Monday.com, ClickUp. And the best way to do this is to have project templates. So every time you have a new project, you click that template and boom, you've now got your SEO process ready to go and your team can follow through that process. You want to adjust any custom tasks. So templating is great, but sometimes there's custom things we need to do. Maybe there's some new coding we need to do. We need to add some different stuff into the way we're operating. So drop anything that you've collected. Make sure that the full scope of work that you've proposed to the client, that you've gone through in that welcome pack, all of those details are collected inside that project in your project management system. Your team members are assigned to tasks. So now we're not just saying, here's the team for the project. We're running through that project, assigning all the right people to the right tasks, with due dates and all that kind of stuff. So we know exactly when everybody has to work on certain pieces. Then we're going to get into, maybe you want to audit the client, right? You want to look at, if you're rebuilding their website, look at their current website. If you're doing some conversion rate optimization, right? What am I actually optimizing? Start to do that research, do that audit their industry as well, right? Maybe look at some of their competitors. If you're doing some social media for them, what are their competitors doing on Instagram? What are you competing against? What hashtags are they using? If you're doing YouTube and SEO, what keywords are their competitors using? What's working in the industry broader? So getting that kind of building back from your client and getting that broader perspective of what they do, what environment they're operating in, can be very, very useful to get an understanding of the client and their business and how you can add value in a really good way. Schedule all of those recurring meetings. So you've taken the clients through that comms cadence. Now actually schedule those things into your calendar, invite your clients to those meetings so everyone literally has those events on their calendars, whether that's Google Calendar, Outlook, whatever you're using. Have those meetings preset, set them as recurring meetings, have the agenda in the description, connect it to Zoom. So all you have to do on the day is click the link, have the meeting. So set that up, get everyone invited, and then creating the timeline for deliverables. So again, you've probably already done this, but again, within project management tools, you've got milestones. Make sure that everything has due dates against it, start dates, end dates, whether you use Gantt charting, all of that good stuff. So you know how long is this process going to take, when's this project starting, where are the key milestones. So now if things start to run over, you know that they're running over because they haven't happened on the day that they're supposed to get done. So this is going to ensure that you're doing what you've told the client you're going to do. And again, vice versa, you want to know when you're expecting things back from the client to get them done. And you've set all of that up in this process by going through this with the client. If you do all of this, you will turn nightmare clients into dream clients, which is the entire goal of what we've been talking about here today. So hopefully that's been good. I know this is a kind of a longer format video, but I wanted to get into that detail because missing this stuff can really affect how well you work with clients. It can affect their perception of you as an agency. It can stop them buying from you again. You deliver one project badly, you're only as good as your last project, right? So if you stuff this one up, they're probably not going to buy from you again. Or if they do, they're going to have questions and you're going to have to work harder to build back that relationship, build back that rapport. So get it right the first time, run this process. As I said, I will drop the Google Doc for this somewhere down below so you can access that, run this through and drop that into your own project management system. As I said, I also have a ClickUp version of this, which I'll do in a separate video, which I'll probably try and link up here somewhere so you can check that out. And that's it. I know this was a longer video. I hope it's been useful though. Hopefully it's something practically you can take away and actually get done in your business. You can use this template. You can drop these things into your project management system and create an onboarding process that's going to ensure that your clients love you. They love working with you. They're confident. They're clear. They have very specific expectations about how this thing's going to run out. And you're kicking the relationship and the project off on the right foot every time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope that's been useful. Let me know in the comments if you found it useful. Questions, anything that you have, I will endeavor to answer those down below. So thank you so much. I will see you on another video another time. See ya.